Friday to you. It is December 17th and time for this week's Friday Funnies. And that means it's only 8 days until Santa crams his corpulent carcass into a sleigh driven by 8 tiny reindeer. Now you wonder why PETA hasn't latched onto this long ago as blatant reindeer abuse. Because it seems like Santa should be in a sleigh driven by sturdier animals like Clydesdales. And maybe he could work out a sponsorship with Budweiser. But that said, it's time to take a look at the odder news stories of the week along with the third installment of Dale's Countdown to Christmas. Story number 1, there's no place like prison for the holidays. In Washington State, the Department of Corrections is trying to cut costs in the running of their prisons. So they have decided to replace their self-serve juice fountains with juice boxes and issue the inmates shorter socks. They claim that these two things will save them over $140,000 a year. But the biggest money saver is going to be they're going to recycle inmate uniforms. That's right. Inmates will now change uniforms every week, but they'll just be changing them with the guy in the next cell. Meanwhile, in Orange County, California, Malcolm King is a convicted drug dealer sitting in jail, and he decided he was tired of the salami. He just didn't like the salami they were serving, so he requested a kosher meal. Now, when the authorities asked him on what religious grounds he needed a kosher meal, his lawyer said that King was a big devotee of Festivus. That's right, the Seinfeld-inspired holiday featuring an aluminum pole. Well, this ruse actually went on for like 2 months before somebody wised up and switched him back to salami. So Mr. King is now continuing the Festivus traditions with his airing of grievances. All right, if you've ever wondered what junk mail really is, you should have been in Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin this week. A mail carrier up there wanted to do nothing more than to make the people on his route happy, and he noticed that one 52-year-old woman was very stressed out lately. So he told her that the next day he was going to make her laugh. And he showed up the next day delivering the mail completely naked, wearing only his mail bag. Now, I don't know if the woman laughed or screamed, but if you are a man naked in northern Wisconsin in December, really, it's no big thing. And finally, where is Gene Autry when you really need him? You know, in Austria, yodeling is a way of life. But 63-year-old Helmut G., just his last initial, was fined 800 euros because his yodeling offended his Muslim neighbors. They claimed that he was mocking the sounds of the muezzin, I think, the guy up in the minaret that calls them to prayer. And Helmut said, hey, I was just yodeling because I was in a good mood, and doggone it, I'm Austrian. Now, 2 points need to be made here. First of all, yodeling offends everyone, not just the Muslims, but there's still no reason to punish someone for doing it. And secondly, I think Helmut G's school of yodeling would make the perfect neighbor for the proposed mosque at Ground Zero. Yodeling? That's the news. Now, let's take a look at the third installment of Dale's Countdown to Christmas. If you're like me, you have little voices in your head telling you what to do. Although lately I haven't been paying attention to my voices because they've been telling me to go Christmas shopping. And I hate going Christmas shopping. So I put it off till the last possible minute. Now, if you've postponed your shopping, here are some tips that may help you out. Tip number 1, forget about going to the mall. The mall is going to be crowded with everybody else who put off their shopping till the last minute. Instead, look for those stores with shorter lines. One of my favorites is to go into the laundromat and get several of those little tiny boxes of detergent. They're so cute. Get about 5 or 6 and wrap them separately for real Christmas morning fun. Tip number 2, food is also a great last-minute gift, but by now all of the good gift baskets are gone, so you're going to have to make your own. I suggest starting out with a bucket of chicken. It's warm, it's aromatic, and it comes in its own festive container. To this, add some beer, preferably a 12-pack, to remind everyone of the 12 days of Christmas. And finally, if you've only got one day left to do your shopping, take all of the money you would have spent and check into a fancy hotel. Then order room service and spend the night wrapping all of your newfound presents. Because in that room, you're going to find a couple of sets of fluffy towels, a few pillows, a hairdryer, an iron, a radio, stationery, and pens, and even a TV set. You know, and the next morning, you have the bellman help you take all of your newly wrapped presents down to your car, and before you know it, you are over the river and through the woods with gifts for everybody. Hey, that's all I have for you this week. Please be sure to be with us next week for our special Christmas Eve edition of the Friday Funnies. Until then, pass these along to everybody you know. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday.